Please.
That chair's not going to be comfortable.
Please, sir.
Please. Also, in this second episode, camera bot, you'll
Reflector.
notice. You'll notice.
Cameratron.
Megatron must be stopped, no matter the cost. Cybertron!
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Autopod Decepticast. This is your bi-weekly podcast that delivers an episode-to-episode breakdown of the G1 Transformers cartoon. This is episode 106, and we're covering episode 2. That would be More Than Meets the Eye, part 2. And I'm your host, Aaron. As I alluded to, this is recording 2 of 2 today. We're ganging a couple up here. And so that means I'm probably kind of drunk right now. And in fact, by the end of this episode, you'll hear a great deal of slurring and probably some nonsensical non sequiturs.
Probably the sound of people leaving.
And
Why are you front-loading this?
one of my co-hosts, who will remain anonymous, will no doubt take umbrage to me asking him to make some superfluous scrubbing to my sloshy sentences, my doused declarations, my juiced-up ejaculations, and joining me in this bacteria-infused dive bar of a podcast are two guys that I'd be happy to go to, well, a real-life dive bar with. It's you.
Oh, hi, I'm Ryan.
I'm Caleb.
And joining us, special guest, contest winner. Again, I don't know how you won this contest twice in a row, but you guys might recall during our Transformers the Movie days, specifically around the Prime Megatron fight days.
Episode 24 and 25, I believe.
Wow. Contest winner, Cuban B from Wyoming. Welcome back and congratulations.
Hey, thanks. I submitted 2 entries. That's how I won this time.
Okay, all right.
That sounds
If
about right.
you'd played in our G.I. Joe contest, that would have been 2/3 of the entries.
Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say, I didn't catch on to that till a later episode, and I actually thought it was really awesome, and I wanted to do one, and I was kind of remiss that I didn't get to participate in it.
Most people were really excited to do it up front until they realized how hard it was to actually.
The software is not great, yeah.
But whatever.
It's kind of like when, Bob Budiansky had to create 23 characters.
Did you watch the toys we made us for in preparation for this?
It's a fourth wall, Ryan. I was just going to say that no podcast, though, would ever dare to ask someone to come up with a fake bio or fictitious character contest. But I suppose if you were a Transformer, what vehicle would you be? So something to think about throughout the episode.
You want to come back? You're challenging us.
That's right. Well, I mean, as a guest, it's my duty as an entertainment recipient to challenge you to provide us listeners with the best quality product possible.
Here's what basically
Reverse QC.
Are you our manager? I don't remember.
I feel like he's hijacking it and is just using this for us to do things that he's getting off to sexually. He gets to ask us these questions. Well, I can answer right away. It's a van.
A spot for your briefcase.
With a mattress would eject out of it. Like
That mattress is not currently in the back of the van. It's in the garage because West and I went to pick up an elliptical, so I had to remove it. And it was wedged in there, man.
Let me tell you, your garage is filthy nasty. And are you gonna put the mattress back in the van?
It's on its side. It's not laying on the ground.
After a couple raccoons birth on it.
I'll probably take it to the land.
No,
to
you're
the,
not.
to
That
the
mattress is
recycle.
going to be sitting in that garage for the next few years.
You don't know me.
I do.
You don't know
well.
my address.
Yeah, I do.
What is the oldest piece of garbage you have in your house? That
Besides myself.
that should have been gone a long
First
time
of
ago,
all-
and you've been telling yourself you're going to get rid of it, but you just haven't.
First of all, I've never said I should get rid of that. About anything.
No, that's the problem.
I'm not a hoarder. That's
what hoarders always say.
I am a prop maker.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that what differentiates
That is true. Hoarders never actually do anything with
That's
their
what differentiates me is I do use the things.
You're a constructivist hoarder.
Do you still have your wheelchair?
Yes.
From
I use it to play video games.
filmmaking days at the apartments.
Yeah, yeah.
That had to be 20 years ago.
We actually talked about that not long ago, about how we had a party. A guy that you and I worked with, Cuban B from Wyoming, got really angry at the fact that we had a wheelchair and used it.
A superfluous wheelchair.
Because you were able-bodied.
Because we were able-bodied,
Yeah.
and because his mother had MS. He was very upset, and I disagreed with that stance.
I think we were kind of enlightening ourselves back then. It wasn't the access to understanding society back then wasn't the same, and so Ryan used it for a dolly or some sort of filmmaking prop. I
initially got it for tracking shots.
Yeah. I don't think it was to humiliate or mock or anything.
I used to go and just be like, "Oh, look, I can stand up and sit down."
He wasn't pretending to be disabled, but
it'd be one thing if you were using it to mock disabled.
Yeah, like a handicap hidden camera show where he then he goes to get dumped out forward and then runs away. No, it's certainly nothing like that.
Not Jackass.
In defense of my keeping things that some unenlightened people might think I should get rid of, I feel like Screams at Stars will back me up, as she has a similar thing where she has a bunch of bins of things that probably will get used somewhere.
But at least she puts them in bins.
And I have
a level of organization.
Bins, boxes on the floor, whatever. It's all the same. It's in a space.
A quick aside: Screams at Stars got some major attention.
Yeah, she makes these 6-foot-long Furbies.
They're awesome. I didn't know about those, so I looked at it. I want one.
Like a human centipede Furby?
It's a Furby,
like a big tube,
super long.
Oh,
and
a Furby.
Yeah, it's 6 feet long. And Jack Black bought one.
No shit.
And somehow that got some. Not somehow. It got.
It just went. The thing went viral.
I did not know about this.
Oh, really?
I need to get on the twits.
Yeah. So she.
It's her main. I think it's her main account. Somerset.
Congratulations!
I want one. You can order them. I don't know if you can order them right now, but on Etsy. But I want one that has a head on one side, a 6-foot body, and then another head on the other end as well.
Can you customize them to a degree?
I'm sure that you can. If you're willing to pay for anything,
Can we make one that has another, it's 6 feet long, but then has another 6-foot segment that comes out at a T, and it has our heads on each end?
That would be interesting.
Like the Guns N' Roses cross,
yeah.
but a Furby.
I
remember when those came out, though. My buddy Dave, his mom got, Christmas, everybody, it was the whole thing. Kind of like Transformers, I guess, were back in the 80s, but if we're talking about Transformers here.
Yeah.
But anyways, she had one, and we were all just down there getting wasted. And my buddy Matt and I would just lean over and go, fuck. Because it's supposed to learn language. Wasn't it supposed to be an adaptive thing with Furbies?
Yeah.
Fuck. And we did that for the entire night. It never once said it, though. It was really a disappointment.
I think there may have been some programming that specifically prevented assholes like you.
Did that kind of AI exist, though, to filter those kind of things?
Sure.
Well, it didn't work, so I don't know.
It didn't work.
But I want a double-headed, extra long Furby.
I want a 3-headed Furby.
You got to hit her up, but it'll cost you.
Nice shout out.
Yeah. Congratulations to Screams at Stars.
Yep. Good job. And congratulations to Jack Black for owning a fine piece, no doubt.
It's a cool product.
It's art.
It's a cool product.
Okay. Hey, guys. Last episode recap. We have fucking robots from space. They crash landed on Earth.
Robots.
they
not
are not sex
Furby
robots.
sleeves.
They are fucking robots from space, but they are not fucking robots from space.
I'm sorry. I stopped the
Sex
show.
robot.
Crash landed on Earth. 4 million years went by. Some of them want our energy. Some of them want to stop the other ones from taking our energy. The first ones I was referring to attacked an oil rig. Now it is sinking and on fire. And that's where we pick up. Cuban B from Wyoming.
2 questions here.
Yes.
Right off the bat.
The Autobots wage the war to eat the evil forces of the... Are the Transformers the baddies? I mean, the Autobots the baddies?
They're reactionary. The Autobots are reactionary through the Decepticons. The Decepticons started all this.
I don't think that Autobots are bad, but I think that they're kind of pathetic.
They're not proactive.
No.
They're reactive, as Ryan was saying.
I'm the one that's supposed to start a management series, and you're throwing out management buzzwords like proactivity.
Get out the business speak bingo card.
Although I really think that the Decepticons need some kind of 1-minute manager series. Starscream is destructive. to the culture of the Decepticons.
You missed the first episode because you were late, but I would argue that Megatron is, and that we were actually arguing that Starscream is more effective, and the show kind of covers that up and makes him look incompetent when he's not.
Starscream's the things the things that Starscream does end up fucking over the Decepticons, but not because they're necessarily stupid ideas. It's just happenstance. But I will say another thing right off the bat, where we start here at the very beginning of the episode, it answers my question of, are we meant to believe that the Autobots can swim? And clearly we are, which is ridiculous.
Well, but I think that by the way, did anybody issue a trigger warning? I mean, the whole Deepwater Horizon burning oil derrick in the ocean.
Like a decade ago?
I mean, still, it could have some sensitivity to people who are used to Autobots taking over their lives. I don't know, destroying them, if you will.
Why do you keep blaming the Autobots?
Oh, look, I'm not an apologist for the Decepticons.
It seems like you might be their media manager.
I am really here just to change their image. I'm the PR guy for the Decepticons. No.
Fake news.
Edit that part out. That was a really lame joke that I've been pitching to Aaron for 3 days now.
Did it get that kind of great reception when you pitched it?
It got that same reception.
You're like that guy in the SNL writing room who every week comes up with this story about somebody who did something funny in a bathroom, but it never gets picked up.
Did you see I was watching this on Amazon, and there's like a trivia section, and one of the
this
things
episode?
Just in the series.
Oh, okay.
And one of the things that it offers is goofs. And I'm just like, I'm sitting here, and it reminded me of that SNL sketch with Rob Schneider where he does sports bloopers, and it's just a clip of somebody like missing a basketball shot or striking out a baseball, and Rob Schneider's just like, oh, it's supposed to go in the net. Like, that was the goofs on this trivia from Amazon.
We need you to be that goof guy throughout this episode, okay?
I didn't document them.
Well, you gotta be improvisational. Cuban B from Wyoming, which is how I will refer to you. Hey, let's get this episode started.
Well, we do also see Braun up top display a special, which is kind of like it seems like a tool everybody has, the welding torch.
Let me back up. Huffer is trapped underneath some steel. Braun comes up to help him. There is a gimmick.
Yeah.
Right off the bat. They some sort of laser, you would call it a welder, but it's actually a reverse welder. We'll call it a cutter.
I think they're the same thing.
It's a torch.
I think you can do the same thing with them.
Gotcha.
It's an oxygen.
Freeze them, and then they just say, fuck off.
And then everybody.
Also,
Bye.
Braun's voice is different.
Yeah.
My arm! It's jammed in here! I can't get it out! I'll get you loose, Huffer! Don't panic! There's 2 things I really hate, Braun. What are they? Fire and water. Great! You're in the right place. There.
We see another ring of fire around the entire oil platform.
It's an oil rig.
Yeah, oil rig. Thank you. Prime is trying to free Spike and Sparkplug, and Wheeljack and Trailbreaker combo up for some force field / fire retardant action.
We get some real fast hits with the special features here. Trailbreaker's force field, Wheeljack's hand extinguisher foam.
I don't understand why they just... Wheeljack is the only one adding value here, as far as I'm
I don't know what the force field... I think it's meant to keep the fire from getting closer to the rig. But and then Jazz with his winch hand.
That's right. So yeah, Jazz does. It's like a grappling hook that comes out of his hand and just throws it at Optimus Prime, who, as we all know, can fly and should just fly.
That's
of the
what I'm
water
saying.
at this point. But Jazz is trying to help out.
Well, right when Jazz's hand becomes that grappling hook, we get a noise that I recognize from Dungeons and Dragons. But also, there's a glowing portion to it, and a lot of things glow in this episode. Specifically, eyes glow all the time.
It's usually meant to indicate new knowledge or menace.
Oh, is that?
No, you just
think that's what that is?
That's what I think. Yeah.
All right, I'll take it.
Okay,
I'm on board.
All right, thanks.
It's rating for dummies.
Some
by
sort of-
Aaron.
It's a new statement. I love it.
Whoa! It's supposed to go in the net.
Whoa!
Wrecked him.
Okay, so at this point, Prime frees the humans, Everybody's safe. This seems like as good a time as any to break down the story. And it basically goes like this. Autobots are good. Decepticons are bad. Cybertron, yada, yada. Mm-hmm. And we're good here. So Spike and Sparkplug, they con Optimus Prime into letting them hang out. After all, they do know more about Earth than the Autobots do.
I like your take on it, where it's a con as opposed to just being helpful, and like the most fascinating thing that's ever happened to them in their life.
There's a motive involved.
Well, I just call it a con because the Autobots. Prime's first instinct is to say, only we can defeat the Decepticons. And they're like, yeah, but you need our help.
So you think when someone's arguing, they're just automatically trying to con somebody?
Yeah, a long con. They're really trying to build that.
You're trying to convince somebody
to
your point of view.
But that's not what that word stands for.
Listen, that is what's happening here.
I'm just trying to
if the Autobots really wanted human allies, why not somebody who's actually really smart and maybe connected into politics or engineering or technology or whatever, not, a 14-year-old guy in an oil rig working?
Because they're the first ones they meet. They don't know anything about this planet.
Do you think we're trying to con you right now?
Quit conning me, guys.
Are they playing the 25-year game? Convincing you
Oh, man, I can't wait to get all his toys.
Actually, the end game was to get on your podcast. That was, I win. I've done it.
That's a sweet con. Okay, we are opening up 1 minute and 30 seconds in, guys. We're doing a great job of staying on time. He's journaling while Soundwave is spying.
It's really weird because he says, I don't know if they're from the past or the future. They're not. Why do they have to be from either? They already told you they're just aliens.
They're clearly just in the present.
Yeah, and then Soundwave transforms. And I will say, this is when I first noticed that the animation in this episode is way better than the first episode.
I think it's a lot more fluid, and there's a lot more dramatic angles.
Exactly. It's sharper. There are more highlights and shadows. The transformations are faster and better. The motion is smoother and faster. And yeah, like you said, Aaron, the angles are more dynamic.
Yeah. I'll look forward to getting to episode 3 and see if that trend continues. So Spike, unwittingly, he sees Soundwave in radio mode. He sneaks Soundwave into the base. And
just puts him up on a shelf.
Sneak him in. He just kind of walks in with him and sits.
Why do you think everybody has some nefarious plan?
He was totally.
I just mean that he does. What I mean to say is, if I may be clear, is that he is doing the sneaking on Soundwave's behalf. Soundwave is really sneaking into the base. Yeah. He's using Spike as a tool to do it.
We understand. Soundwave is totally conning Spike.
He did. He did.
Yeah.
Because he's a Decepticon.
Oh, and deception. He was wearing sneakers for sneaking.
When you get out of here.
That makes noise.
Nope, thanks. Hey, can I ask a question? Another question. Gotcha.
You headed it off at the pass.
Has Shockwave come back, or is he still just minding the fences?
Nope. We won't hear from Shockwave again.
For a while.
I think episode 4 is when we'll hear from him.
Yeah. Okay. He's still minding the fences.
Yeah, because, 4 million years later, I'd be like, ew, they're not coming back for me.
No, that's why we love That's why we love Shockwave.
He has the patience of a saint.
That's why we love him. He was told what to do, and
But that's also why he's pathetic.
They totally
and sad.
They totally conned him into waiting there for 4
Well, he doesn't have a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for?
Job responsibility?
No. Whenever you want something more than what's your station in life.
He doesn't have desires?
Ambition. He doesn't have a lot of ambition.
Well, he's relatively high ranking, though. He had to work his way up, certainly.
Is he?
What, defense minder for 4 million years? What did he have to do before that?
He is guarding the base.
Yeah, they give him a title of vice president, but it doesn't. It's meaningless.
Instead of a raise.
Vice president of sitting your ass down.
You're the vice president of staying put.
Okay, so Spike puts Soundwave in his tape deck mode, just kind of on a counter, and runs off to go chat with Trailbreaker. And he got questions about Autobots and Transformers, and he wants answers, and he wants to have a conversation, a dialogue. Trailbreaker is like, come on. And Soundwave is I'll show you what's going on with this kid. And Soundwave is recording all of this really inane chatter, honestly.
It is like when the feds have to shut off the wiretap because it's not related to the case that's ongoing. But this is another example of how the animation's so much better. Like, you see the wheels inside of his tape deck turning. Mm-hmm. It's pretty detailed. And then we get this outbuilding.
What is this tool shed? Don't know much about when they built it, how they built it. We know it shows up in a couple episodes. Spike and Trailbreaker walk over to it, and we see some parlor tricks.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
We get a lot of special features right here.
Ratchet is repairing, doing some repair work. Hound shows off his holograms that he
This
can
one
make.
is one that comes back a lot.
They actually use it a lot in the IDW Transformers universe. In that world, everybody can create holograms and they tend to make those holograms representative of their own personality. So, for example, there's a character Whirl who has one eye, and whenever he actually turns himself into like a bratty teenage girl every time he does a hologram, and she's wearing an eye patch and is wearing purple clothes and things like that. They usually try to make it indicative of their personality and visual appearance to some degree.
Well, that's interesting. I will say, and it's obvious because of just a storytelling, you don't want to stick with two really great powers, but then we get to see Mirage, who can turn invisible, and like both Hound and Mirage's powers are so insanely useful and so crazily underutilized.
I worry that, like, they need energy, and they're just dicking around. And I'm like, can you conserve some of that?
They're just showing off to a random Earth kid.
Like,
it doesn't even matter.
It's like a kid at a skate park who's a real asshole, and you're like trying to do an ollie to impress this kid. You have no idea. Look, I can do a backflip off the diving board.
And this sounds not hypothetical.
It's not real.
He is crying openly right now.
I could do an ollie, guys.
So Hound says he's going to take Spike for the ride of his life, which is something you are not supposed to do with strangers, kids.
Well, Hound is particularly, and we'll see in just a second, Hound is particularly fascinated with Earth and Earthlings.
So they take off. We go back to Soundwave. There is an interesting... I mean, I get we have to show transformation because that's what makes this cool.
Yeah.
But there's lots of transforming, particularly by Soundwave, where he doesn't have to
you don't got to do that.
But so he transforms just so he can release Ravage, so that Ravage can then transform and go inside Teletran 1 to record all the knowledge that the Autobots have gained thus far about human power sources.
Mm-hmm. And we do see a brief shot of the dam in that.
Yes, we do. And then Soundwave transforms back into his tape deck mode. We switch scenes, and we go to Hound and Spike as the sun sets.
In the beautiful deserts of Oregon?
In the sand dunes of Oregon.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Oh, they're totally like in Arizona.
I know, they're everywhere.
Tumble and tumbleweeds here. So they're riding around. It doesn't exactly feel like the ride of your life.
It's pretty stable.
It's just like a normal ride.
His 7-foot collar is flapping in the wind.
Yeah.
It's like whenever you go to a different country or something.
That's a pretty wild jump, though.
You want to do the most.
There's a couple sand duny type stunts.
Yeah.
And then they're back home.
He's back home anyway. They let him wander around.
Hair's not even tousled from that wild ride.
For whatever reason, nobody's guarding the main base, by the way. Only Spike really cares. He goes in, he sees that there's some activity happening that just doesn't seem right for some reason to him. And he runs towards his tape deck, and that's when Soundwave transforms. And
who are you?
And shit's crazy.
Operation Impress Little Kid.
He just starts doing dance
break dancing.
Popping, locking.
Everybody just wants to make humans proud of them for whatever reason. At this point, Soundwave commands Ravage, that's who's with him right now, to eject, and they're going to get the fuck out of here.
Swipe.
Not after Soundwave takes a lunge at Spike that misses, and then Spike sets off an alarm. So they're taking off. Ravage ejects. He's running after Soundwave. They're trying to exit the building.
Would you call that a premature eject?
No, it was right on time, actually.
Wah, wah, wah.
Talk about a blooper.
I gotta say, through this whole sequence, I know that he just looks like a cat, but I felt a little bad for Ravage through this whole part. I felt a little sympathy for him getting chased.
Here's where we get to where Ryan talks about how he just hates any form of animal abuse, be it...
You realize it's not really...
It's not even abuse. It's not even abuse. It's just anytime anything resembling an animal is in any amount of tiny peril, it's difficult. But I know he's a sentient... The fact he doesn't talk doesn't help. I realize he is an intelligent being just like Soundwave, but it still just makes me feel a little bad.
Would it feel better if he was flying away as a cassette and they were shooting at him?
Yes.
Okay.
In most of the comic interpretations, he does just speak normal English. And there's no reason why he shouldn't. It's kind of a weird thing that they would give him mannerisms of an animal when animals, in theory, don't exist in Cybertron.
Yeah, and also none of the tapes talk in the show, but they all talk in
Rumble and Frenzy.
does.
Oh, I guess that's true, but they're
But I know
humanoid.
what you mean. I know what you mean.
But like Rat-Bat talks in the books.
Right. Yeah. He leads the Decepticons.
Yeah, he's the leader for some of it.
Ravage is running away. Soundwave gets away. Ravage gets a little tussled up with Bumblebee, but he gets free. Everybody's taking shots at him. He kind of merges into the shadows. They decide they need infrared, which is really just a red light.
Yeah, Gear's like special power is a sex worker light.
It's the old Amsterdam combiner mode. A bowl of pot and that red light.
And so then they find him. There he is. So they take...
then we get another special power with Jazz and Prowl making an energy cage.
Yeah, and they have to do it together.
Yeah,
They each have
weird.
one half of it for some reason, so they got him. Okay, that's great. Soundwave got away. But here's what I don't get. I guess having Ravage wasn't relevant at all to gathering the information because Soundwave is playing back all the information from Teletran 1 right here.
In the most ridiculous way possible. He's just sitting on a rock and they're just listening to
The way
all the
kids
rest of the Decepticons
listen to
listening
music
to
in the 70s in their like parents' attic smoking weed and just listening to fucking Led Zeppelin.
the good old days, baby.
Greatest rock band of all time, by the way.
The Goats? Nah, it's Pink Floyd.
Oh, gross. Once again, I need to excuse myself.
You're fired.
But he's like that jam box, like old LL Cool J when he was like, my JVC vibrates the concrete. Speaking of
Cool who?
right, well, speaking of 1984 though, it's Billboard Hits time.
Oh,
But did you know that Run DMC self-titled came out this year?
in 1984?
Yeah. Not only did Run DMC self-titled, but the now termed discography by Minor Threat came out of the same year.
Nobody here cares about your
Are you
punk
kidding
scene.
me? Could Caleb vouch for this at least? Do you have any appreciation for that? I don't know.
DC represent.
Hey, at least you got that. Somebody else here appreciates something about the DC hardcore scene.
All right, well,
I just was saying that was a good year for some music, at least from a couple albums.
I'm glad. I mean, and both sort of counterculture music scenes
Very much
as well.
so.
we're learning about power sources,
You
guys.
said some good stuff today, Ben.
I impressed the kid. I impressed an Earth kid.
You got a couple in the net. So we hear Teletran's voice. He's telling the tales of Sherwin Dam and all the kilowatts, and it makes Megatron very excited. And that's when his eyes light up. He lights up based on some new knowledge, an evil scheme sparked. And he thinks this energy is going to be mighty helpful. It's not enough to impress Starscream, because that's not enough to make all the cubes that they're going to need. But Starscream's knowledge is only overshadowed by his stupidity, guys.
And this is this struck me as like he says 1,750,000 kilowatts isn't enough to make the Energon cubes, which is 1.7 gigawatts, which, as we know, is more than it takes to power the flux capacitor.
That's all you need to go back in
21 is all
time.
you need for that.
Which is the amount of energy output of plutonium or a bolt of lightning.
I was wondering if somebody was going to do that math, and I'm
But
glad you did.
why do they put it into an astroliter? That's what I want to know, is why is that unit of measure of volume for power outage? I know we do like gallons of gas, but it doesn't quite translate. So you're like, oh,
I think they're just, I don't know.
my transformer gets 20 megamiles to the astroliter.
Also,
Except with Bumblebee, because he's a Volkswagen, that it really is less, despite what the manufacturers say.
Guess what Bro Cells said something pretty enlightening this week. He said,
Bro cells.
Yeah, Dad, did you know, Dad, that they stopped making the Volkswagen Beetle like this week or something? They discontinued making the Beetle. And he goes, and then he says, so I guess now Bumblebee won't have any descendants.
Unless he's that new van that they've been hyping up.
And I was like, oh snap, son.
that's what you said to him? Oh, snap.
That new van does kind of look
I haven't seen the new
transformery. Oh, you got to check out that commercial. I'm not trying to hype it up. It doesn't suit my style, but
Seems like you have a lot of agendas today.
I'm represented by.
Here's the new Bro Cells sponsorship tag.
Bro Cells is the sponsor of Autopod Decepticast. Yes, 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 yes.
So
Yes,
fucking
indeed,
weird.
bro cells. Yes, indeed.
Nice.
That is a kid, an Earth kid I'd love to fucking impress, though.
I'm glad
it continued.
Woo! Wait, that's an Earth kid you'd love to fuck and impress?
No, whoa.
Dude, that's careful.
You gotta
I'm going to
edit that
isolate
shit
that.
Careful there. Yeah, that's all going to have to be removed.
I also, like Megatron says, they're going to overload the dam. That's not at all how dams work.
Right, yeah. Megatron explains that to Starscream that it's not just about stealing energy directly from the dam, that they are going to have to, do some stuff, create a tidal wave surge to amp up that energy output.
Yeah, but all they do to amp it up is compress a cube of oil. And I'm like, we're sitting around here like suckers. All we have to do is this.
And also I feel like just their general operational methodology is questionable to scale. Like
from a tube. It literally, he splices a tube together and it pumps into the cube and just fills the cube up and
and they're doing like 3 at a time.
Yeah.
Like, that's no way to produce. But we're getting ahead of ourselves.
That's way later.
Yeah, come on.
Sunrise, bitches. The con.
This flying in sequence where they land, I think, is movie level.
That's among the highest quality.
Yeah, it looks
animation
amazing.
I've seen.
With
It's
the Decepticons
really
land
great
there.
job. So they're at the dam. They're not actually on the dam, I should say. They're on the lake, on the deep side of the dam. And Rumble is dispatched to get to the bottom of the lake and do some pile driving. And this works, causing kind of high waves and disruption in texture to the water, which I guess is...
This part where Soundwave directs him to go in there and Operation Tidal Wave, he makes like a surfs up wave motion with his arm. It's so
that popping and
groovy.
locking coming back.
I know.
I like how their operation names are very specific to what they're doing. It gets really cut into the chase of...
Time for Operation
Tidal Wave.
Make lunch.
I know where I
Operation
work.
Grilled Cheese.
We have project names, but they're never tied to what people like to get cutesy with project names. It's like,
do you have an example?
Project Penguin.
Well, that's not descriptive unless you're
does
dealing
it
with
have
penguins.
anything to do with the project?
We're not processing penguins. I'll tell you that.
God, I hope
much.
not.
Are they frozen? Is that the whole thing? Frozen whale meat.
There's often no correlation. So Rumble, bottom of the lake, pulls out them pile drivers, which have he's 2 for 2 on showing use. I don't know exactly the science behind this, but it creates
Earthquakes create tidal waves. I think it's sound.
They do,
Tsunami,
but
baby.
these are not tidal waves. It's really just rough waters, as far
It's
as
true.
I can. As far
But
as I
that's
can
the
see.
name of the operation.
Operation Wave
Rough
Pool.
waters. What?
Oh.
I don't know why I thought you were going to say rough waters.
That's
I was
an
trying
Operation Wave Pool.
Oh. Wave pools. What a terrible idea.
to.
I love
Let's
them.
go to White.
I love them
today
too, but they
after
seem
this.
so dangerous, and people die in them all the time.
Do they?
Yeah.
That's not based on anything at all.
Where are your facts?
A guy
I
and
have-
his kid just died in a riptide the other day.
That's not a
Wait,
wave.
it's not a wave pool.
I
It's
have-
not a wave pools.
I mean, maybe
It's
not
not
so
a
much
wave- yeah.
Ocean blooper.
Maybe not so much anymore, but like
It's not supposed to
like
do
before
that.
they were more precautions that they'd get like under the rollers like that would make the waves and it would crush
There was
them.
like a thing when babies would get sucked down. And remember in the drainage tubes of pools back in the 80s or whatever, before they had like...
people just chucking babies into the pool.
Man, I'm going for a swim.
Oh no.
No, but like, no, it's like a special cap for pool drains because the suction would like suck a diaper and hold a baby down, and it was really...
What are people doing with their babies in the pools?
It was the 80s. They took babies home in their laps with no
Were
seatbelts.
doctors still smoking
that's true.
in hospitals
In the 80s, yeah.
Yeah.
There was that place in New Jersey called Action Park, or what is Action Park?
It's the best baby swim pool in town.
It was the guy who built it had his philosophy was you take your risks. Like he and anybody who had an idea could pitch it and he'd build it. You didn't have to be an engineer or anything. It was called Traction Park, Class Action Park, colloquially, because people kept getting injured and killed. Like they had one that was a slide that did a loop-de-loop and it was a completely contained tube and people kept getting stuck at the top and like getting fractures and stuff. And then there was one where you are on a little car that went through a louvre, but you could brake or not brake, but they didn't stop people from just coming in after you. And so you
Just
rear
jammed
ended
into up?
people. Yeah.
Have you been on that Alpine car down in Branson?
Mm-mm.
I highly recommend it. It does have a weight limit. I will be the first to own up to that. But somehow...
You got through though.
Well, I impressed the young human enough to let me through, despite my sheer volume of weight. I guess it wouldn't be a volume, but my sheer math.
So how was it?
It was awesome, but it has like a handbrake on the cart, and it's gravity driven. And there are some moments where you're like, is this little shitty seatbelt going to keep me from flying off? There's a couple like nets like on an aircraft carrier where they have.
Oh, God.
But you're really, I'll call it 15, 20 feet up, and you get ripping at some point. And I was kind of like, slowing down.
Jerking off.
Yeah. Going a little bit. I mean, I'm in the middle of the wilderness. I'm going to enjoy it. And you're going for a minute, and then I was like, screw it. I'm going to let her rip. Put the handbrakes down and just kept going. It was pretty intense. I suggest
The fact there are nets is terrifying to me.
Well, like they know.
Yeah.
They know there's a risk.
Have you guys remember this incident here? Let me put it on the big screen. The Verrückt water slide, German for crazy or insane, up in Kansas City, and
wasn't this supposed to be the
shut it
tallest
down.
one or something?
Kid got decapitated, right?
Yeah, the world's tallest water slide when it opened in 2014, designed by co-owner Mike Henry. And let's just get to the fatal incident. A 10-year-old son of a Kansas State representative died. The raft went airborne, impacted a metal support of the netting, decapitating him. That happened in 2016.
No wonder he was able to get
Christ.
like a remedy because it was a freaking politician.
I know.
It was just some like poor schlub going and dicking around on the world's longest.
Oh, what, you got a decapitated kid? Yeah, we got that at $10,000. Here you go. See you on your way.
Two other passengers who were injured, broken jaw, and facial bone fracture. The park was closed pending an inspection.
Handsome George ain't handsome no more.
I ain't afraid of no roller coaster.
Had that theme park you were talking about where they'll like build it. It reminds me of that SNL sketch with Dan Aykroyd where he's got like bag of glass and it's like a kid's toy that shards of
mention
glass.
this all the time.
Do I?
Yes.
The Bassomatic.
You mentioned that the last time you were on this show.
Damn, I'm a huge fan of those toys. I don't know what to say.
So, a grand jury issued an indictment against the former director of operations, charging them with involuntary manslaughter, aggravated battery, aggravated child endangerment, and interference with law enforcement.
He's just like nothing to see here.
Fuck.
Wow. All right.
Yeah, it makes me not want to go to theme parks or be on roller coasters to know that the regulations are actually pretty loose.
My dad doesn't ride on Carnival rides because he's a welder and he looks at how they're put together and he's like,
yeah, I don't do it
Go
anymore.
to Disney. Disney does it right.
Well, they've got a lot more to lose,
Yeah.
reputation-wise and all that. Some of these like Bofunk theme
Street
parks
carnivals
and definitely street carnivals and things like
The
that.
Ozark Empire Fair starts, I think, in 2 weeks, and like I don't go on any of the vigorous rides
I think
there.
the biggest gamble I take is the food there. I make a point to kind of eat.
I go on the Gravitron.
Oh,
I love the
Which,
Gravitron.
by the way, Stranger Things season
Features?
3, the Gravitron is featured pretty heavily.
It's my favorite ride.
The Gravitron. I was like, holy
I actually
shit,
haven't been to the Empire Fair in a long time.
Oh, Wes and I have went every year since we've been
I've
together.
seen your chicken pictures from the fairs last couple of years. Didn't you put some pictures of chickens up at that?
I don't know. I have chicken.
I'll tell you what.
No, but it was at the fair.
I guarantee you this year the Ozark Empire Fair will be super popular because of that show. And I bet if they have the Gravitron this year,
they always have it.
Yeah, they always have it.
I bet you it'll be. I'll bet it'll be
Sure.
a super huge line to ride the Gravitron.
They had last year. They had something they added that they are also doing again this year, which is a sea lion show, and it's sea lions that have been like taken. They've been injured or they can't be released into the wild, and it's funny because you can like they're trained, but also they don't force them to do anything. So maybe they'll do the trick, maybe they won't. It's really cute. It's really adorable. I love it.
If it was like a walrus show, I would just take my bridge out and just sit there. And then they're like throwing fish at me.
You want $20 to come up and rub him.
Ryan, do you know how these animals are treated?
I did look into it because I'm very sensitive to I don't like circuses because of that reason.
They're allowed once a day on the Gravitron.
Just fish puke everywhere, chum in the waters.
They're very well cared
What
for.
is the? I don't know if you. Certainly, you guys don't know this. I'm throwing it out there for maybe future research. What is the business model of these organized sort of yearly local carnivals? Like, Caleb may know, but let me pose my question before we go too much into it, or my questions about it. Like, are there local Graviton owners? I mean, I guess Carney is like a travel lifestyle. But so is this the same traveling group of people, or is it a big group of independent operators that latch on to different events they go to every year? Caleb.
So in Doniphan, Missouri, where my aunt, Andy's aunt lives, she is friends with a woman that runs a carnival. Mm-hmm. It is an organization, and they actually have enough equipment that they, at any given time, can have like 3 or 4 different carnivals going. Mm-hmm. And they hire carnies.
Yeah. So it's like one producer, one person who owns the overall event. Well, of course, you'd have to have that.
Right.
One group
now, as far as licensing for the machines, you probably buy the machines, but I don't know how.
Do they own the machines, or do the carnies own the machines and they get subcontracted out to come and?
Does who
the director?
Like does the person who organizes the carnival subcontract out to people who happen to own the
probably
rackety roller coasters and Gravitons and whatever?
I think they buy the machine. They buy the machines probably from the Graviton.
So is there
corporation?
Is there like a convention of carnival rides?
There has to be.
Like go to figure out what you're going. Like Vegas does that big tractor thing where you can like see all the new DC or the Caterpillar.
Well, every convention like that is in Vegas.
Yeah, but like, is there just like I want 10 pukes per minute? That's like the whatever the metric is for that ride.
It's a ppm.
I don't go on to those things. I'm afraid of heights, and I don't.
If we have any listeners who are carnies...
Oh, you think this is staying in? That was the most boring shit I've ever heard.
No, it is not. This is interesting. I mean, there have to be carnivals worldwide. It is.
Tell me about the
organization of the business of carnivals.
Yeah. Anyway, that's all I know is that they run a carnival.
That's all I know is I have an aunt who runs a carnival.
No, I have an aunt whose friend runs a carnival.
All I know is that I don't know nothing.
You're like one of those people who's on Google or Yahoo Answers who's like, well, I don't know, but here's my uninformed opinion.
But you can Google it.
Let me recap where we were. Rumble's making waves at the bottom of the lake. The Decepticons have flown to, I guess, what is the control center of the dam, which is inside the dam itself. The waves that Rumble are creating creating more water to flow through the dam, through, I guess, I don't know what you call it, the release situation. Yes, which is
it's a real technical term there.
And the people working the dam are freaking out a little bit. They don't know exactly what's going on.
I love this guy at like 6 minutes 30 seconds who says, "The river's rising. Man your emergency stations." Has an impressive moose knuckle.
So wait, Carney talk. Not good. Moose knuckle talk.
It's all staying in.
Baby.
First of all, that took 4 seconds.
So the Decepticons blow their way into this control center, and they take charge of the situation. Starscream then is commanded... Oh, hang on a second. Let me back up. Before that, the Autobots are getting readouts of potential emergency situations on Earth. And
which Spike can read.
And also a very beautiful, interesting script.
I completely disagree. It looks like you're trying to write with an Etch-a-Sketch.
It looks like you... I don't know. It looks like you know your way around an Etch-a-Sketch, if that's the case.
No, man, you're just twisting dials, baby.
Has someone
Have you ever
ever
made anything that nice on an Etch-a-Sketch?
I'll show it to you right now.
Okay.
Has someone ever decoded that, like alien language from Futurama?
Yeah,
like, is there a Rosetta Stone for Transformers?
I doubt that the people that made this did like the George R.R. Martin, like the language. Or like the Klingon, like it's an actual language.
It was probably animated by people that don't even speak English.
Well, since it's mainly Korean, yeah, I mean,
so it's like what
made in the Korean.
It's like
I said it's mainly Korean.
So it's what it's based. So I think it's probably what Koreans. It's like Koreans like writing cursive.
Sure, yeah,
maybe.
But in a robotic, they're taking their creative liberty to like, what is the robotic version of this?
There is Cybertronian language that is translatable, but it's way later. It's like now stuff they're doing now.
Yeah, it's probably associated with Michael Bay, and I don't think so.
That. Oh, no, really? I'm thinking like stuff they write on toys. Like Cybertronian Siege.
Oh, well,
toys.
there was that Jazz Cybertronian. It wasn't in the Siege line. It was in the line right before it, whatever that was called. I'm blanking out.
I don't
Power of the
remember.
Primes. And yeah, the designer did the Cybertronian translation of MAGA on the Jazz toy.
Oh,
and it
no.
It was a giant controversy when it was discovered.
I didn't know
And I don't
that.
know if that guy was canned or anything, but it was a real thing that... I think that Hasbro they didn't discontinue the toy, but future
yanked
versions
that, yeah.
yanked it. Anyway,
That's the worst thing I've ever heard.
at this point, the Decepticons blow their way into the dam. Megatron walks in. He just shoots out the ceiling for no reason, really.
Also,
other
how
than
do you
show
know that
force.
walking through that wall isn't going to make the system not work at all?
I assume
apparently everything's made out of concrete, no matter what's going on.
Well, it is a dam.
Right.
That I guess maybe they have scanners that let them know which walls are the best ones to walk through.
But if it's like the Hoover Dam, don't they say like the concrete at the deep center of the Hoover Dam still not dry or whatever?
Oh, really?
Because there was like so much
Concrete?
I
I don't know. That's interesting.
I think that may be apocryphal because concrete doesn't really dry; it cures.
Just describe the difference between drying and curing
No.
in this situation. Okay, Ryan, for once, is like, let's move on. I don't want to be the focus of this. They blow their way in the dam control, and this is where Starscream is asked to null ray the turbines frozen.
Prepare the null ray again.
And, which somehow allows, again, Energon cubes to just be stuck on the pointy end.
I know
And-
it's so silly.
And filled with whatever vigor comes out on that other end. So the Autobots, they're driving, they're arriving, and their questions about Decepticon involvement in this scheme are quickly answered because Megatron fires a shot from his fusion cannon at the Autobots.
And then we go to commercial.
After these messages, we'll be right.
We don't have to call out every time a commercial.
But those 80s commercials were awesome. A hanker for a hunk of cheese.
Oh, wow.
That was more of a...
A slice of slab or chunka.
A hanker for a hunk of cheese.
That was because the government was trying to move cheese.
Yeah, Big Cheese was really...
We got all this.
He's not wrong.
We got all these teats. Just pumping out
It
milk.
there's a whole thing. It was
More of Soundwave.
I brought this up a little bit.
backing up
Reflector.
to where we put the Energon cubes on the turbines.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was just going to talk about Reflector all having the iris. All three of these here have that iris that's
So-
not broken out into the different components.
This episode is notorious in general for having lots of just rando cloned robots. The Reflectors, the Seekers in particular.
Yeah.
There's just random colors of Seekers. I'm surprised they didn't randomly color the Reflectors.
Well, in a second we'll have a reflector color problem.
You've also got problems with Soundwave's tapes because Rumble, or of a character that looks exactly like Rumble, is in this room and featured, but we know that Rumble is at the bottom of the lake.
Another goof. No, this one.
Oh, yeah, he's still down there.
I never remembered Reflector, but it was a mail away. I
Yes.
guess. And I remember, I never did mail. Maybe like
What'd you call him, camera bot?
Yeah, I had X-ray specs I sent off for once or something. I remember though in high school you could smoke at my high school, and we would collect the Marlboro Miles and Camel
Holy
Cash.
shit!
I knew a dude who had full on.
Wait, you could smoke at your high school when you went there?
Yeah,
Holy
That was
shit!
a
St.
while
Louis?
that was in Illinois.
Maplewood.
No, but that was where I graduated.
Where'd you go over in Illinois?
This was Peoria, where
Oh,
you
you
could
live in
smoke.
Peoria.
Peoria Central.
Will it play in Peoria?
But the whole thing was, this kid, before you even finished your pack, you'd go ask somebody for their miles or whatever.
I want the raft.
This dude I knew had a full-on fucking duster, gym bag. Why did they make a gym bag for smokers? They're we've got a Marlboro issue treadmill. No, and it's funny enough, in Wyoming, I went to a wedding up by Jackson Hole, and I live with that dude in Peoria. His brother, who also lived with us in Peoria, was up at the wedding. He knew the people that I knew. It was weird fucking shit, but I don't know if he was still sporting that Marlboro duster or not.
Ryan and I, we have to admit, we bought some stuff with Camel Cash.
Zippo, the blue Zippo was awesome.
We bought an ashtray that was like 2 feet tall and had a wire frame and like a glass ashtray inside.
We were like 19 or 20 years old. It took us 2 years to save up for it.
Yeah,
this will impress
but 10 years of lung life.
Yeah, this will impress some young Earth kid.
And what is impressive about that? It was a really shitty.
Very bad.
It wasn't. I guess it wasn't cast iron, but it was some kind of.
I think it was like
iron.
aluminum.
It did not look as cool as it did in the pamphlet.
Like Marge Simpson with her Johnny Reb whiskey flask family heirloom, where John Waters was he's like the appraiser for like vintage toys, and he's like, yeah, this is worthless. Zap.
That was a good episode.
It was a great episode.
Okay. We're caught up to what I was talking about.
Well, that
earlier.
part where Prime and Prowl are talking, they do like some kind of weird throwing your voice puppetry because it's Prime's voice coming out of Prowl's mouth, and then it's Prowl's voice again.
It's a great angle, great illustrations.
Yeah,
I love, especially Prowl. I really love that drawing of him there. And I love that explosion. Actually, the explosions in this, I think that listeners will recall. I talk about explosions a lot.
Sure,
we used to love to draw explosions.
Explosions are fun to draw.
And very inspirational ones. Again, we talk about keep firing. Okay, you missed by a little bit, Megatron. Keep fucking firing. You've got a very strong weapon.
It can cut off a mountain.
Apparently it's like dialed into black holes and shit, as per his.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yep. Mm-hmm. We've got to work fast.
Hound, he dons his classic face mask
to
go deal with Rumble underwater, and the Autobots, the rest of them, take off to the air to go and kind of take care of the business that's going on the inside of the dam.
Isn't that face mask with the new release of a new Hound toy? I can't remember if it's a third party.
It is. Well, no, there
was a masterpiece.
So yeah, I have a Fans Toys Hound, which is a beautiful sculpt actually, and it actually comes with a face mask that I can place on top of that. So that homages it. What I understand, the official Takara Masterpiece Hound, which I will procure. Unfortunately, I hate that. I hate it because I want to get all the officials. But this is such a good representation. I don't like it. Just makes me mad that I'm going to have two. But I think that allegedly the face mask is inside its head, and you can do a little.
Do all Transformers have that face mask?
Well, no. I mean, that's the only time we see it, which leads me to believe his face leaks.
Well, because Huffer was like a little fucking. He was just freaking out about drowning in the oil rig.
Yeah,
and
I hate water.
Yeah, and
I hate fire.
And now it's just like, well, I'm going to go down and.
Huffer's kind of
a punch Rumble.
Huffer complains about everything, though.
That's more about character. Hound's a little more heroic.
I wonder if the winch company so he has a W
on the front of Hound's
the W. That's a real winch company.
I thought there was Willie or Wiley. Wasn't that the Willie edition Jeep?
The W stands for the brand Warn.
Oh.
Well, they have brands on some of the other cars and stuff.
So they got Mega Transformers.
Well, I was thinking more like
number one brand in America.
Fuck that.
Okay, these guys are wrestling underneath the waterscapes here. Then we cut to apparently this sequence is a little bit confusing to me.
Oh yeah.
This is the flood sequence. Hound and Bumblebee show up to try and save, or I'm sorry, Ironhide. They show up to save the day, and they gang up.
This is the rare time we get to see the weapons bay.
That's right. Yeah, we do get to see his little sled rocket launcher thing. Although in this instance, it's not a rocket launcher; it's just a extremely powerful.
I feel laser. Like this sequence is weird because the way he cuts it. It's strange. Like, he's basically trying to divert the river, and so they cut these little channels. I feel like this is maybe a disconnect between script and what we see on screen, because I think it would make more sense to make a huge trench as opposed to these tiny little trenches.
Well, we don't know how... Those would have to be so deep.
Oh, yeah. I love this part where the house is saved at 9:28. And the guy on the roof, if you hear him, he says, "Hey, that's great!"
That laser would have to be so powerful to cut that rock so
silly.
Deep and instantly to allow for that volume.
Yeah, it's pretty silly.
All right, we're agreed. Autobots, they're feeling pretty good about themselves. They fly. And they just start popping shots.
Here we go,
They
right
knock
there.
down- Who? Okay, it looks like they shoot Starscream. Who's that other?
It is
thing?
Reflector, miscolored as
Okay,
Starscream.
all right.
At 9 minutes 37 seconds, it looks like 2 Starscreams get shot, but I backed it up a bunch of times, and it is a miscolored Reflector. This also reminded me of when Starscream gets knocked over by Hot Rod shots in the shuttle in the movie.
Yeah.
And then they make more Energon pillows.
But I can't remember when we were looking at the scene earlier. Was the cubes in the turbine? Was it Energon-ish texture?
It was electricity.
It was
and
electricity.
Then it didn't
okay.
become Energon until they
And
squished
then they
it.
compressed it.
Okay.
Okay.
Squish
That's
it.
how I eat
Yeah.
marshmallows, by the way. I just
You got to smoosh them. Here we have at 9:44 a bunch of just floating Autobots.
Yep.
They stick it in neutral, Megatron. He really sounds like John Wayne at this point. I
He
think
does
we've
have
heard-
a drawl, yeah.
The Energon tubes, return to base. Stick it in neutral, Megatron. You're not going anywhere. Try and stop me,
We've heard Peter Cullen talk about John Wayne as an inspiration for the voice, and no more than at that moment, as far as I'm concerned, did he sound like it. The Decepticons have managed to produce, I counted those pillows, 18 Energon cubes. So, again, speaking to the scalability of their plans.
I think it shows more later.
It does. It does. I don't like it.
it's an economy of scale. You're not going to get anywhere making 18 pillows.
Bingo!
Yeah.
You said economy of scale. That was my middle.
That's
my middle piece. There's no free pieces in business buzzword bingo.
that's true.
Oh.
That's the first rule of business buzzword bingo, actually.
I mean, yeah, you gotta.
No such thing as a free lunch.
Me.
It's coming out later.
That's all I
You made a lot of terrible jokes.
The lunchiest over here.
Still there.
Let's see.
Permanently etched on my flesh.
The Decepticons for getting fired on look very calm here at this
Cash.
point. But Megatron, he blasts a little battle, a nice gunfight's going on. The humans seek shelter, and we see this is a very cool
Mirage
scene.
is very weird. Yeah, cool.
On some kind of, I don't know if it's a bridge or whatever. We've got a potential thundercracker and definitely somebody we don't know. And Mirage goes on to take him. They throw him off. They throw him off. They're on a bridge of sorts.
They throw Mirage off, but he parkours back up.
And he's lost his ability to fly.
Yes.
And he's lost.
They
his
all
ability.
have in this.
Yes, for this moment, I don't understand why this bridge. You wouldn't just build a bridge to wall.
Nowhere.
But that's okay. Cliffjumper jumps in to help out. He gets tackled by the two Seekers, but because Mirage has ninja'd his way back up to the bridge, he managed to do a crazy flip kick move and knocks them both off.
Yeah, some jujitsu, and for someone who doesn't like to fight, Cliffjumper gives him the props.
Yeah, and the Seekers definitely fly. So
Absolutely.
Their handshake was much better than ours.
Off mic, we had an awkward handshake.
Optimus Prime flies off screen onto another platform that seems to exist for no reason.
I think it's a door, maybe.
Yeah, it seems like that should flip into a doorway.
So
Maybe
they're like fighting on top of a
Garage door, yes.
It's very strange. They're fighting. Megatron packs a wallop. Prime is now hanging hundreds of feet off of a ledge. His fingers is the only thing keeping him attached to it, and. Again, he flies.
Right, that's really
according
annoying.
to the logic of these early episodes, so it shouldn't be a big deal. Megatron's going to finish him off and I guess stomp his toes to drop him down.
Fingers.
Very good animation on
Fingers,
even though it was in Transformer World, what was our hands?
Your
Our
fingers
toes.
are called toes?
Yeah, I know you know not up on that, but
Cool.
no, he'll stomp the fingers. He's delivering some menacing dialogue, no doubt.
He says, I'm going to step on your fingers. I'm going to
Your
step on your
toes.
toes instead of shooting you with my arm cannon.
He's savoring the moment.
He is. And
Stepping on your toes.
Starscream and his Megatron's eyes lit up again, notating the terror boner that he is growing within his loins.
Okay.
Starscream, for some reason, has
That's a new band for me right there.
Terror Boner, I love their work.
Starscream, for some reason, has a slingshot.
He has Wheelie's weapon.
Yeah.
Where did that come from? Why? There's
This is
no
another
reference
one-off
to
weapon.
that.
Why?
Did it come out of his forearm and he's like, I just need this? He has guns
like
on the
quite
side of his hand.
The
Ridiculous.
Transformer Dennis the Menace, who's just really starring Megatron as Mr. Wilson.
Starscream!
That makes a lot of sense. Him throwing off that bolt or whatever it was from that slingshot caused enough of a ruckus that it threw Megatron off of his game, which gave the opportunity for Optimus Prime to hop back up on this ledge and tackle Megatron. Yes, there were 18 pillows before. Now there's probably some 100, 150 pillows.
Mm-hmm.
The Decepticons are grabbing and running, and here we have, spoiler alert, a very iconic moment.
Why is it a spoiler?
Because it'll be my iconic moment.
Oh.
Guess it's not your iconic moment anymore.
That's okay.
They are.
The ghost will make it.
I don't know. I don't know how it would be anything other, but we'll be open to opinions later for everybody's iconic moment. But Prime and Megatron, they are fighting on top of the dam. There's a few swings, some nice, some really good dialogue. Actually, you destroy everything you touch, Megatron.
Well, and also he keeps calling Megatron old and like an outdated model, which really tracks later, later, whenever we find out that Megatron is a lot older than Prime.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Good job.
Thank you. And here we're getting to the part where we have the most, famous one-off weapons that have ever been.
That is, yes, and by that we're speaking, of course, of the axe and mace that emerge from the energy-based axe and mace that emerge from both of their forearms here. I just wanted to touch on a couple more dialogue lines. You're old, Megatron. Yesterday's model, ready for the scrap heap. Junk! That's what you are. Junk! I also liked, when I'm through with you, Prime, there won't be enough pieces to sweep up. Sorry, maybe
They have a custodian come in after battles.
That's not my job.
Like that David Cross when he's the custodian in Mr.
With
Show.
the
The janitor that's in he pops out of the ball or the cart of basketballs.
and then he's trying to fix the sink with the goofy glasses.
He gets angry and ripped so hard.
Everybody listen to Mr. Show.
Yeah, go watch Mr. Show.
Actually, watch it with your eyes and listen with your ears.
I'll put that on the
1-2
website.
combo.
Note that nobody ever goes to.
So they're fighting their iconic battle, and it ends with, for a moment we switch to Hound and Rumble, and they're still at it. Rumble gets away and manages to attack Spike.
Our second Rumble Spike backhand.
Yes.
Also, it feels like Rumble should speak here, and maybe the actor wasn't available, but he doesn't say anything in this whole episode. And it's really distracting to me.
I like how Spike actually has the power to tackle him.
It was a perfect rugby tackle, by the way.
Oh,
Cheek to cheek.
you know how it goes.
I do. Played Division III rugby.
So
Is that true?
Yeah.
No. All right.
Don't you follow me on social media? I only completed 6
Rugby
days of
news.
the 10-day rugby challenge.
Is that on? Let's shout out your Twitter at this point at Ben Almost.
Ben Almost, yeah.
Do you talk about rugby all the time?
I don't do Twitter for rugby. I do Facebook for rugby.
Okay, what's your Facebook
That's
name?
MC Cuban B. That came out a long time ago.
Of course, a reference to the amazing rap group from the early 2000s, the Sociables, and not even a reference.
The most famous cracker-related rap group.
Rap group there was the fanciest cracker-related group.
That's right.
We'll get onto that later. Rumble gets the better of Spike, and it's his calls for help that distract Prime just enough for Megatron to get the better of him and knock him off of the dam here.
Yeah, and then Megatron helicopter flies away.
It's so
with the Decepticons.
fucking weird looking. He did not need to do that. And also, he's not swinging his arm around.
Nope.
What's creating the motion, the kinetic energy to make that thing flip?
Clearly that mace is like motorized.
Yeah, I guess so, but it's really odd.
It's
I
really
hate it.
silly.
I fucking hate it. Prime is having problems. He again has forgotten that he can fly, and we go to commercial.
Mm-hmm. Prime and Laserbeak are the bumpers.
Prime is struggling in the waters, but you guys remember the Jazz? He's got a hook.
Yep. It's one special power that actually comes back in the same episode.
Thank goodness, because he uses it and saves Prime.
Mm-hmm.
Grabs right on.
Which, again,
Sucks him back out.
he cannot fly, I guess. Maybe they can't fly when they're wet.
It's like a wick in there. That's just...
Except Brawn and Huffer.
That's true. Never mind.
They fly right off the scene and don't help at all.
Nope.
Spike dives into the water to save Hound.
Mm-hmm.
And Hound is covered up in what have to be very heavy rocks.
This is kind of silly.
And Spike
just like
and
later,
like, as if Hound couldn't do that.
It is true because Spike moves an enormous rock that certainly weighs more than he does, and then it immediately frees Hound. And here we are at a very famous.
Maybe this is Caleb's iconic moment. If you follow the APDC text
12
chain.
minutes.
Spike is getting massaged.
Yeah,
it's the whole drowning thing. You got to knock the water out of their lungs.
I don't know of any. Also, if you want, like, this reminded me of when you watch the original Star Trek episodes when it's like the precursor in the 60s to CPR, where they pump somebody's legs to try to get the water out or something.
In with the good, out with the bad. In with the good, out with the bad.
Yeah, it's strange. I guess he doesn't know anything about biological creatures, so he's just like, maybe if I massage his back, it'll help.
I think he was probably. I think of it less of massaging and more of probably like reverse.
He just pounds him into pulp.
Yeah, he just tears his chest open and gets the water out.
There you go, human.
All better now. Wait a minute.
So the Autobots, they regroup.
Somebody make that.
They're pondering their action items. Bingo. And it's
strategic planning, you could say.
It's posited that they all just pack up and leave this fucking planet.
But we're not fighters like they are, Prime.
That's a pretty good Huffer.
Huffer's such a crybaby whiner.
The only Autobot with any fucking ovaries is Optimus Prime at this point, and he's basically saying we're not leaving until the Decepticons are dealt with. Mm-hmm. And back to the Decepticons. We're getting
which are just like there's we get a montage of them fucking the planet up and stealing all the resources.
I thought it was I don't know, it's a little bit confusing to me. I see it's either one or two schemes, right?
I think it's three.
You think it's three schemes? Okay, well they're in a snowy environment and they're tapping a pipeline.
Yeah.
Is that scheme number one?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's where they fill up, and this is I don't know what they're getting out of a forest.
I assumed it was part of the pipeline.
Oh, this is a completely different area, I think. Like, it's not related.
Okay, they're in a forest.
It's maple syrup.
The Great North.
They like flapjacks, Energon flapjacks.
It makes more sense than rubies.
Oh, that.
Well,
we'll get to that.
Here they are flying out of a mine that says Black Diamond. So in my head, this was one scheme. They were tapping a pipeline, and Black Diamond maybe was meant like a metaphor for oil or something like that. And so, and this is oil that they
Texas
turned
tea,
into.
Black Diamond.
But why would
the
they
Beverly
show
Hillbillies stole that trademark?
Why would they show three distinctly?
Well, and there's also oil barrels there at the Black Diamond facility.
But why would they show three distinctly different environments if it were all the same place?
Well, but why would they show three pipe-based, or at least two pipe-based energy?
Clearly, Ryan,
methods.
They do one of these in the winter,
one
of them in the summer,
and one in the fall.
So they're different parts of the ones in the north, ones in the south.
I feel like Black Diamond is a company name.
And well, okay, so here's the question:
stripper's name.
Are they somehow? Do you guys believe that diamonds are involved in the Black Diamond industry?
No.
Okay. What do you think is creating those energy?
I'm going company name.
Oil.
Okay.
I don't think it's oil. I think it's like mining
coal
in some way.
I see. Coal could
be
Black Diamond. Okay. All right. I'm with you, but
there's oil drums there.
But that doesn't have, oil drums are involved.
But that was fuel to power the machinery that was getting the coal out.
Sure.
So they're stupid and they're not getting actually the oil.
Are they compressing the coal into diamonds, which turns into energy somehow?
It's like Superman 2.
Whatever's happening.
We'll definitely never know.
The more we talk about it, the more uncertain I know of what's going on at all.
Well, they only need one more big score to get back to Cybertron now.
We've got Soundwave, and maybe they should have hit the Rubies first, because we'll talk about that as like the ultimate energy.
Maybe they didn't find out about it until later.
But that was on the recording that they played earlier.
Well,
so
poor planning.
Anyway, you got Megatron, you got Soundwave. They're hanging out. They're coming down a conveyor. We got a bunch of reflectors, primary reflectors. Ben, they all have the irises on their chest.
It's just one of those things that really bothers me. I don't have any reason to be bothered.
You rage quit the show because of it.
They are stacking Energon by the pallet load, and Soundwave was like, "Hey, you remember those ruby mines?" We should probably go deal with that.
In Burma.
It's like, and also they make a point of saying it. It's like the best energy source on Earth, most high yield energy on Earth
in Burma.
But yet they save it for the last thing they do. Starscream, I don't know why they would put these two turrets. I guess Starscream puts this little turreted gun here
together
to test out the Energon cubes. And it doesn't take any more than like 4 shots, and supposedly that blows through half the energy they've collected this entire goddamn episode.
Well, yeah, I mean a lot of it. I don't know about half, because they only need two more scores instead of one.
I think, well, that's why it would be half, because if they
I think they've already done 3.
Well, again, Starscream has done something that is kind of trivial, but it has, for whatever reason,
it's
major
giant implications.
It's true. If he were not here, the Decepticons were to be back on Cybertron ruling the planet.
But as we discover later, they get to the Ruby Mine and they're like, this is the only score we actually need.
Yeah. But I think that basically... Oh, what was it? Oh, I had something and now I completely lost what it was. Fuck.
You did mention poor planning earlier, and I know we already got a bingo, but prior planning prevents poor performance. That's
great.
The 5 Ps.
I remembered what it was. It's
That's what I'm here for, folks.
It's that we did see a montage, but that's not necessarily all the jobs they pulled.
This is a sample.
That's true.
It's a selection. It's the highlights.
It's like, I mean, Rocky didn't just run on the beach in very skimpy shorts with Apollo Creed.
That's all I remember.
Wonderful quadriceps, I have to say.
Yeah. You run on the beach 8 times over a summer.
He had like 3% body fat. Very dangerous.
Yeah. And he's going to fight with that?
Not on my
No
watch.
energy stores. Me? I could fight Ivan Drago all day long.
I could do this all day.
That's America's ass, guys.
That is America's ass.
Meanwhile, Megatron is pissed about this whole turret situation. Starscream exclaims that his desire for power is just as great as Megatron, and Megatron rightly states that the desire for power isn't a prerequisite for actually attaining it.
What do they call it? Failing into succession? There's a term.
You fail to the point to your point of incompetence,
Yeah,
or you
the Peter
succeed.
principle, they call it.
Whatever.
I'll show you Peter principle.
You guys see the new
Caleb, oh my goodness.
You see the new Spider-Man?
I haven't yet.
Well, this is from the commercial, so it doesn't ruin anything, but AMA calls his spidey senses the Peter tingle.
That comes up. That's an ongoing joke in the movie.
Yeah, it's quite entertaining.
Also,
They never make an overt penis reference, though, which is nice.
So much.
Also,
I was just going to say, in the business, we call that a trailer.
That's another helpful industry tip from Ryan Jett.
and you're in the business because of your YouTube channel?
Yeah, Ryan
wheelchair.
Jett. Go search Ryan Jett on YouTube. I'm not the MMA fighter.
Oh, this is going well.
This is a good episode.
Okay. Starscream is reprimanded. His little gun turret thing is destroyed.
Megatron just kicks it over.
Yeah. It's about time we go back to the Autobots.
I love
who
this.
seem to be like just on the other side of the valley from
I
where
like
they
that
are.
Spike and Sparkplug are having high tea.
They're having high tea, and we have another just ludicrous ability that you have for whatever reason,
Trailbreaker.
which is Trailbreaker and his little spy satellite. So everybody knows what's going on with the Decepticons. It's probably coffee. You know, people brew coffee over campfires.
Yeah.
I like to think it's tea.
Whatever makes you happy.
Yep. Well, a few things.
There's no saucers involved here, so I don't think they're
Excellent point.
No biscuits.
It's true.
No
Scones.
dangling pinky.
Fuck, it's just fucking coffee.
No beans and
The
sausage.
best part of waking up.
It's time to assemble a strike force.
Yep.
Trailbreaker and the boys are getting back to Autobot headquarters as fast as they can, and they need to radio for help. But Trailbreaker can't do it on his own.
Well, I like how the Seekers take off vertically. That was a cool little bit.
Yes.
But also, Sparkplug at this point says, I like being a spy better than working on the oil rigs. And I'm like, yeah, sure, but are the Autobots paying you?
Yeah.
Like, are you going to be homeless?
Yeah, I don't know how their personal finance works.
Yeah, it's not clear.
Really,
maybe in the deleted scenes.
From this point going on. They're discovered immediately by some Seekers. A very cool sequence where they get shot at by those Seekers.
I wasn't built for speed.
This whole Sparkplug needs to pick up the thing to actually contact the Autobots to... That's ridiculous, but, whatever. You got to give the humans something to do. And immediately... I want to give a shout out to Drew Merkel, a.k.a. Close Kuntosh, and the Audio Knights and the Series 6 podcast team, because this is the kind of thing that they've been waiting for. Sunstreaker, Sideswipe, the Lambo
Twins. Yeah,
they show up, and, they're here to save the day, and they're very efficient. Sunstreaker, he pulls out some kind of weapon out of the ass end of his Lambro and fires on one of the guys. He takes a solid hit, and that's enough for them to say, peace out. But not before I guess it was Sunstreaker himself that took a singe himself.
Yeah, he's upset about his paint job.
Mm-hmm.
I have always loved the Lambo Twins. Like, I had Sideswipe, but not Sunstreaker. But their design to me is, even their robot form, is really sexy.
The Countach was the coolest car back then in my mind, though.
You
had the poster.
The posters, yes.
You remember they made them with the little optics in them? Like, there were lights that you could, put battery in your...
Oh, what?
It was like
in
a
your
hot,
poster, a battery-powered
high-waisted bikini chick.
It was like car porn.
Yeah. Still, I'd buy one to this day. If I won the lottery, I'd buy an 80s Countach and pose on it.
I want to see you
with a
posing on
hamburger.
it with
I would
like
have
a
that.
in
I
a
would
big
hang
bikini
that on
grease.
my wall. I would hang that on my wall.
Just splitting sacks, speaking of moose knuckles.
I do love the design of that from the 80s more than I love the modern designs of those.
Ferrari makes a better looking car these days than the 80s Countach, in my mind.
Yeah.
That's a hot take from
controversial.
We're going to get so much hate mail.
Well, especially from our Countach family out there.
No, I was giving them props.
He's saying Ferrari.
Oh, okay, my bad.
Yeah.
Reverse.
Move on.
You know what? You're great.
Uno reverse.
You're great.
Put it in neutral, Megatron.
I'm a wild card.
I'm a real wild one.
Wild one.
Oh my gosh.
I love the musical references today. By the way, Billboard Hot 100, Tina Turner's "What's Love Got to Do?"
When this episode came out?
Yeah.
I love that song.
A heart when a heart can be broken.
I have to say, I like the angle of bringing up some other outside pop cultural...
what was going on?
Moments into the
Maybe we'll make that a
these
segment.
are going on. That's
music and interpretive dance define me. I'm going to bring that to the table.
So we can find out what the original air date is and see
Sure.
what things going on that specific day.
September 17th, 1984. It could be the new...
Next time.
Yeah.
Hey, we need... Well, Ben's already got it covered, assuming that, What's Love Got to Do with It was actually also the number one song September 18th.
Maybe I can find the Casey Kasem talking about that.
Oh.
This is Casey Kasem on American Top 40 in Hollywood. Now we're up to the new number one song. And it's by the star who's waited 24 years for a number one song. When she first hit the top 40, she got as high as number 27. That was back in 1960, and it was with this rhythm and blues hit.
He's got me smiling, and I should be ashamed. Got me laughing when my heart is in pain.
That got to number 27. It was in 1960, and it was a hit titled A Fool in Love. This woman who sang it was still rocking a decade later and still looking for that first number one when she hit number 4 with Proud Mary and followed that with the song about her hometown. From 1973, that's the hit song Nutbush City Limits. Did it reach number 1? Nope. Got as high as number 22. Today, 11 years later, after 24 years of trying, she's finally hit the top. Here now is 44-year-old Tina Turner with the new number one song in the USA. What's Love Got to Do with It?
Wow.
Bringing it back to the podcast.
So, at this point...
Yeah, not just some random, stupid throwaway comments.
Guys, let's go to Burma. AKA Myanmar in modern parlance.
I like how they're like, fuck it, let's just invent a fuel source.
Decepticons are raiding the fuck out of these mines. There is so much energy here. And so much so that Megatron just...
He makes it rain.
Uncle Scrooge just throws the crystals up in the air. The Autobots are outside one of the entrances to the mine, and they...
this part is so weird.
They bring Spike and Sparkplug. Wheeljack...
To Burma.
Wheeljack's got a bomb that can blow this whole operation to Kingdom Come.
His voice is also real fucked up here.
Did you do the research on that?
There's some speculation. There's no evidence. I think that he was trying to differentiate Sparkplug and Wheeljack, but
he hadn't quite gotten in.
Yeah, he hadn't gotten his Wheeljack.
It wasn't in the pocket.
Tail runners out of there. We've got just the trick to do it with, too. There's enough explosive in here to bury them forever. Not so fast, Wheeljack. We know.
That's Chris Latta, by the way.
Yeah. What? Optimus Prime steps in and say, like, caution. You got this bomb, and, we probably should have talked about this plane before we got here, but it was a long flight over to Burma from...
Boy, are my arms tired.
But we don't know where the Decepticons are in this mine, but luckily, by perhaps the biggest coincidence...
This is ridiculous.
...in the world, Sparkplug has worked these mines, and so he is like, you know what, I'm going to go in, I'll help set that mine up, or set that bomb up, rather. And Bumblebee, he's the smallest, the most nimble. He can get in there. What a great team.
Yeah, so he can drive 20 yards and transform. But also, like, the whole Sparkplug thing, first of all, you worked the mines in Burma. Secondly, what's the vocational overlap between a crystal miner and an oil rig worker?
It's all about energy harvesting.
It's not like those are one-to-one.
He's a Renaissance man.
But I will say, speaking of Burma, which, like you said, Aaron, is currently Myanmar.
I like
in
this.
It is in Southeast Asia. It is the source of 90% of the world's supply of rubies.
I read that as well.
Okay.
At least they were being accurate to the natural resource.
I guess.
My main problem here is clearly the Burmese government is looking the other way.
It's also Burma looks a lot like
Arizona,
the desert areas of wherever they're from.
Yeah.
60 seconds seems crazy reckless for a timer for a bomb.
I thought it was 5 minutes.
60 seconds.
It was 60 seconds?
Yeah.
Okay.
They didn't give themselves a lot of time.
All right. Well, Sparkplug and Bumblebee they're walking through the mine. They evade some Decepticon notice here, and they ultimately find the main housing of the excavation operation here with tons of Decepticons in it. They plant the bomb, and then they take off.
Yeah, this is again where
they're using pickaxes.
Yes, there's a lot of duplicated.
They don't have the laser things built into their forearms like the Autobots do.
A lot of duplicated secrets here.
I'd like to know. It'd be funny if they said, "Let's set it for 5 minutes." Audibly, but
it's 60 seconds.
I don't know where the 5 minutes came from in my head, but Skywarp and Thundercracker were hauling rubies out of the mine, but yet all the work being done to convert the rubies to energy is being done in the room with everybody else, right?
Well, who knows? I don't know if they're taking them out. Maybe just moving them all.
The logistics is not clear.
Well, they were moving out of the mine because they were going in the opposite direction of where... Anyway, okay, they're coming back with an empty cart.
That's the payoff.
They discover. You might be right. Okay, protection money that the Decepticons need. Bumblebee jumps into battle with Skywarp. Thundercracker murders Sparkplug, and a battle ensues. But the clock is ticking. Optimus Prime, the Autobots in general feel like something is going wrong. Prime volunteers to go. He's going to use Roller, who's too small to be seen. Even though anything that's big enough, as big as Roller, there's a lot of leaps of logic there.
The first time, or is this the only time we see Roller?
I think Roller might show up in other episodes.
Maybe one, maybe. This is weird where they have no sound effect when they hit Bumblebee in the back of the head. There's no sound effect.
He's just like laying there like...
It doesn't make like a clink sound or anything. I mean, the implication is he's knocked unconscious. But there's no sound when they hit him. It's weird.
The Seekers are beating the hell out of Bumblebee, but if you have hearing problems, you would not know that. Roller invades the mine shaft, and at this point, the bomb explodes. killing all the Decepticons, Bumblebee, Sparkplug, Roller, and maybe even Optimus Prime.
These are rolling down the hill.
rolls down, starts rolling down the hill.
They're all dead.
And that's the end of this episode.
I guess the show.
I don't know how they made some 90-odd episodes when it all ends right here.
Honestly, I hate it when we do this pretend thing.
Well,
I love it.
I know you do.
And I will continue to do it. I will continue to do it. So we're at the end of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
A few more Transformers tropes were revealed. We saw some force shields. We saw some grappling hooks, laser cutters, anything else. Some goddamn
foam,
seekers.
Fire retardant foam.
Schemes.
Holograms,
schemes.
Invisibility.
Cons, if you will. Conversations.
Yes. Convoluted. Plot lines.
Plot lines.
Well, maybe it's time to get... Ryan, have you got anything for our...
Deviations. Again, this is just for now. In the next episode, I'll have the actual script over. This is mostly taken from the TF Wiki. Deleted scenes from the original script of this episode show Spike and Jazz tapping Teletron 1 into the emergency alert system, which that was 13 years before the real system of the same name existed. And that's how they detected the Sherman Dam issue. Trailbreaker covers Ironhide as Ironhide uses this adhesive to seal cracks in the dam. Bumblebee and Sparkplug face 2 Decepticons.
They should have used that.
Yeah.
They should have done that because they were showing that the structure of that dam was very weak.
Well, that would have been, I mean, maybe...
As a kid,
I'm sure
I forgot about it.
Yeah.
I just let it roll.
Bumblebee and Sparkplug face 2 Decepticon guards at the mine entrance, and Bumblebee paralyzes them with a stun ray from his headlights.
Interesting.
Bumblebee teams up with Wheeljack rather than Ironhide to carve the trenches that break up the raging river, and in accordance, Wheeljack's alt mode is described as a van, which, coupled with several other awkward and inaccurate alternate mode descriptions, suggests the complete finalized details of the Transformers alt modes hadn't been... solidified before this was written or provided to the writer. That's pretty much it for the script deviations.
I'm looking on the trivia section of the TF Wiki. It notes that much of the character animation in this episode is pleasingly fluid, with some rather dynamic transformations. Decepticons, in particular, flip as they transform. So I guess this has been notable among the community.
So we'll be disappointed probably with the next episode's animation.
Well, interesting. I mean, it was really good. Hey, how about that? We can.
I'm the ghost of the iconic moment. Optimus rolling down that hill in truck mode.
That is a pretty good one.
Mm-hmm.
I do remember that as a kid and feeling angst over it.
And I remember it because it's the last scene that we just watched in this episode.
That whole thing. Luckily, it's a legit one.
Yeah, sometimes it works.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
1 in 90.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. That's what stuck with me. That and the whole cliffhanger of it does seem like everyone should be dead.
Will Prime die?
Mm-hmm. And I thought it was curious to think, these neat accessories they make for the figures today. Back then they were making the show to sell the toy, and now they're kind of building the toy to match the show, which was interesting to me.
Because the interest has changed. People are nostalgic
now.
And
they have money.
They saw. Yeah, and they have money.
And they're adults.
What was your iconic moment, Aaron? I think I know what it is.
Oh, yeah. The fight on the
Sure.
dam. Yeah, I think that's... I mean, you see those weapons. They're really the first drawn-out battle that you see between them.
Between Prime and Megatron with the axe and the flail.
I think that beats your stupid thing.
Okay.
I would
better.
say that makes for a cool...
I'm sorry, we don't ask
You're right,
guests.
sorry.
Iconic moment. You're below us. No. Cuban B from Wyoming. What is your iconic moment?
My iconic moment, I guess, is winning a competition to be here twice
That's
now.
right.
I hope to win another one here in August, but we'll see. No, I was going to say, you've got one of those toys that have that weapon somewhere.
Lots of them have those.
Oh,
Which weapon?
the
Prime's battle axe.
Oh, behind you right here.
And I actually thought it was pretty amazing for Spike, not knowing if they were future or past, that they do some kind of medieval style weaponry.
It's
on
an
these.
interesting take.
It is weird.
They go back to gladiatorial combat.
And that is sort of reverse engineered into the Transformers mythos, the idea of gladiatorial combat as a
there's a whole episode
societal a form of entertainment. But yeah, if you are a robotic species, like the idea for needing an axe, I mean, an axe is a tool outside of being a weapon. Would you ever really need an axe if you live in a robot computerized world? Wouldn't everything be precise and efficient? An axe is kind of a hack and
I'm just a medieval tool in a highly robotic world.
Blooper. I mean, I don't know. It's a blade. It's just a blade.
Yeah, but wouldn't a laser do this? Like, I have to cut into this.
It is a laser.
Yeah, but wouldn't a precise, like, nobody uses axe technology when they need to cut things in like production environments.
But also it is also a weapon, which is it's a heavy, big, dangerous weapon. It doesn't have to be precise. That's kind of the point.
It's made out of lasers.
Maybe it's the intimidation factor.
It's like his dick.
I listened to an interview with Terry Gross the other day about the gladiatorial mindset of baseball players, I guess they call them. And like the spitting and the jock grabbing and adjusting thing, like there's some evolutionary context as to like this posturing or like machismo that comes into it. Maybe that's what they're doing.
Yeah, maybe it looks good on a cartoon.
Caleb always just bringing it back to reality.
Yeah. They impressed
we have
some
to
young
review it
Earth
just
kids
based on what we see. Otherwise, there's no point in doing this. Because all the answers are it's just a cartoon.
Right.
Well, that's do you have a real iconic moment?
Oh, I was supporting yours. I really did believe that those weapons were the moment.
All right.
But now I'm changing it to Prime in vehicle mode rolling down the hill.
Because fuck you, Aaron.
What did I do to offend?
I wasn't invited to have a comment.
I think that's it.
Yeah, I didn't write a next episode thing.
Next episode, it's part 3.
We wrap this thing up and decide if...
Wrap it up and wrap it out.
If this was all actually a good idea. And maybe we'll go on to another project.
No, this is fine.
Maybe
talking about.
It's a Mr. Show episode by episode podcast.
We'll do a very obscure 90s comedy show that nobody listening has ever watched.
Just gotta be one person.
We are Earthlings. Let's blow up Earth things.
Thanks, everybody. Visit the store. Cupper Puma posters. Buttons. Ryan, what else is in the docket for you? What are we going to make?
I keep forgetting to send it to you, but I have that Starscream Pathetic Fools poster that's
Send
pretty
it
much
to me.
done.
Because all I'm doing is taking stupid pictures and photographs and shit. And
I
I'm
agree.
Not intending to sell it.
And
maybe I should.
I have several things that we could turn into stuff. I really liked the Ultramagnus Galvatron thing I did for the TFCon promo. But
love it.
We need to make some more pins. You know, maybe the counterpillar.
The caterpillar, as I call it.
Maggot of the moment.
The Minipede.
Minipede, that's like all good. All this is not sellable.
Please continue listening. Of course, Apple Podcasts. People seem to like that. Stitcher, Google Play, and TuneIn. If you're one of those Apple Podcast people, subscribe, review.
5 stars, please.
And social media, in order of preference. Twitter. Instagram, Facebook.
All of them.
At Autopod Decast. And, of course, the web presence, autopoddecepticast.com. Ryan, anything you want to put up there?
Yeah.
Have a great week, everybody.
Bye.
I think this was a good episode.
Would you guys like to start?
Sure.
All right.
Oh, I did have one. I have had one fun, really quick dream that I had. I wanted to tell you about.
Oh.
It was again in it was a trailer in the style of Fast and the Furious, which I don't know why I keep dreaming about that. I don't even really. I mean, I like those movies fine, but this one, it was Jonathan Frakes and Vin Diesel were starring in it.
This is in your brain.
Yeah, this was a dream.
Yeah. Brain dream.
And it was Jonathan Frakes played Brig Mathby, and Vin Diesel played Oi Atherton, and together they are sticking it out. That was the name of the movie.
Well, you remember those names in your dream?
When I woke up, I wrote it down because I thought
awesome.
it was funny.
Wow. I have to say that I have not seen a single Fast and the Furious movie, but I did see a preview for the new one with The Rock and Jason Statham. It looks outrageously awesome.
They started getting like that around 5, I think.
Yeah, they get outrageous.
I think I've only seen 7 and 8.
The first one is classic. It's really...
Is it really?
Oh, yeah.
Like
It's played very straight, though. It's not like
classic as in it's actually kind of good?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's just racing, right? It's not like balls to the wall.
No, they're not superheroes.
Car flips and
It's
explosions
almost,
and gunfights.
No, to be honest, it's not as outrageous, but it's a very similar storyline to Point Break.
Okay.
He's a cop. Mm-hmm. He infiltrates this group of people that are thieves, and they rob. I don't remember what they rob, if they rob banks or not, but they use getaway. They drive really fast vehicles. So the character gets into this sub culture of driving fast cars and shit, drag racing, stuff like that. Is
there a metaphysical element to it that ends up appealing to him in the same way, like the surfing?
Oh yeah,
culture got into Johnny Utah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
It is actually. It's now that you say it that way. It's
a ripoff.
It's a ripoff of Point Break. It really is.
We'll have to figure out what Point Break ripped off to bring it all the way to...
Point Break didn't rip off anything.
That's right.
It's its own being.
All things start at Point Break.
Yeah.
To think otherwise would be a waste of time.
Perfect.
All right, here we go. Good to see you guys.
Bro Cells is the sponsor of Autopod Decepticast. Yes.